that'll work. Survival mode. So we have a very, very, very great panel here of people that I really actually look up to, and they don't know that. So now I'm just being honest, and that is not something that we do in this space. I'm just kidding. But we have Burnt, and we have WARHODL, and we have Kate, and I think the topic I did not get, but if you would like to help me, I'm going to sit here and have you do that because I'm joining the panel.
All right.
Okay, so that makes two of us. I guess you're wondering why we brought you all here today. No. Okay.
So this is basically about NFT artist experiences.
There we go.
So
I might
So
be at the
I'm-
wrong place then.
Oh, I don't think you're in the wrong place. So today we're interviewing Burnt Banksy here on the left, and WARHODL. And on the bill, it did say that we were going to interview David Airdrop Billionaire, but he didn't make it. So we're filling in with Eric, and he's also called Motivate. And so my name's Kate Specter, and I am executive producer at a creative agency, Specter Hall. And I do some biz dev for NFT companies as well. So start out, how about we start with Burnt, and you could introduce yourself and your work.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of a lot of my work really started with NFT Tips, Motivate, WARHODL right here. We've actually known each other for like 8 months now, and they really got me started because back in February, we bought a Banksy from an art gallery in New York. We turned it into an NFT, we digitalized it, and then we burned the original to, a lot of hate and a lot of love. But, kind of with that being said, taking that a step further, kind of on that, we realized, at least me, realized that, there's a lot of frictions in the industry, and we currently are building Burnt Finance, the first fully decentralized auction marketplace.
You should hold your mic a little closer.
A little closer. It's hard with the
yeah, I
mask.
don't know if
gotta,
they're
it's
hearing
a
you clearly,
difficult
because
balance
you're
that
really
we really gotta
exciting.
perfect. It's hard being anonymous.
The work you do is great. And
Yes.
I think people should know about you if
You
they don't
broke
already.
the internet.
But
Yes.
there's
broke-
a
you broke the
technicality.
internet.
There's a technicality where we were like for a very long time the highest average price seller on OpenSea, but only because we sold one, and the other ones were unrariable. And so I hold that to the day that I die.
Yeah, and for me, grew up as a creative, painting, graphic design, early years, and then at the end of last year, someone on my personal Twitter retweeted an NFT thing, and I'm like, what is this? And pretty much spent the month of January doing a deep dive, in large part, again, thanks to NFTs.tips on Clubhouse, just this like highly curated, educational, ultimately onboarding, and was able to do a fast track over the month of January, and started minting February, and it's just been a total ride since.
Yeah, and I guess I played host to these guys and a lot of people building out the largest and fastest growing NFT and DeFi community through education and empowerment, and basically on-ramping and off-ramping everybody to OpenSea, Foundation, Rarible, Super Rare, Nifty Kit, Blind Boxes, Async, Maker's Place, you name it, we were on it. And basically punching holes in the umbrella and making it digestible, understandable, and accessible for artists of all walks to get into the space and roll the dice on NFTs. And it was a very beautiful moment in time because everybody needed everybody. So we were seeing everybody learn from everybody, and just a real keen, mutually beneficial mindset of growth and opportunity, and just it was just like natural collaboration, and there was no competitiveness with anything. It was just a matter of like, how can we get more people into this? How can we blow it up? And then we've seen before our eyes these guys and a lot of others just, shoot through to the moon and the stars and beyond. So, yeah.
Let's get some good questions in. You can hear the hangover in all of our voices.
Yeah. I don't know if I heard clearly exactly like what I know you do, but Burnt is known for
NFTs.
well, yes, but how he got his name, Burnt Banksy. He purchased an actual Banksy print, and he burnt it, and then he made an NFT of it. And I guess it was with the permission or good graces from Banksy. Did you ask him first? Or?
That's a great question. We should go to the next one.
Go to the next one. Oh, sorry.
It's a loaded question.
Oh, okay.
We only have
well,
20
I guess
minutes.
We'll get to that. But it did really cause quite a stir. Many articles written and stuff. So, he's that guy. So, how did you first get into the NFT world? What inspired you?
I mean, I've been in NFT world, I guess, since CryptoKitties. I mean, even before 721 came out, when everything really was an ERC20 standard, and then CryptoKitties. I think my first kind of foray into this was, I had a mining operation, and CryptoKitties obviously crashing the Ethereum network, and that really kind of spawned this first look of, what the hell is going on with these internet cats? And then those internet cats became something more, and then, obviously CryptoPunks and Tulips and everything came out, and, I think that was my start, and then obviously, on the buying side, but then on the side of actually being an artist, which I have no background in. I'm honestly more of a crypto native at heart, and been in DeFi since 2017. But with that being said, we really did notice that NFTs were like this Trojan horse into DeFi. And you look at something like Axie Infinity, which at the end of the day, for me, is a DeFi protocol that you're interacting with this mask and this aura of a game.
Yeah, and I got my intro questions mixed around. I've done startups. I've ended up as a creative director for a couple years for Hyundai and Kia. So everything you saw in dealerships, and through that time, discovered crypto through Hacker News. And in 2017 and 2018, I just went deep down the ICO rabbit hole, and I was like, if I could create crypto art and receive crypto, I would be on top of the world. And so I launched WARHODL in 2018, and kind of worked, more so a hobby. And then this year with NFTs, it's taken off, and here we are.
And what about you?
I have a truly creative agency and marketing firm. And I've been making brands and individuals alike look much bigger and stronger and powerful and influential than they actually are. And that's something that the advertising and marketing world is very good at. But also maintaining integrity in that as an artist and creative that is multidisciplinary and has a lot of different mediums of expression, it kind of hurts to do that. So I felt that NFTs in the crypto space looked like a perfect opportunity to dive deep and head first into and really explore to the fullest extent, because this is a digital renaissance, and the amount of layers and texture and flavor and color that you can add to things is monumental. And I think that the more you understand it and the deeper you dive into it, the more you can really embrace all of the different unique, intricate little parts of it, down to the lines of code in a smart contract, to how you do split sheets and multi-sig wallets and a lot of other things. So yeah, from the creative side to the business side, it hit on both ends for me, and yeah, I just do what I do.
Awesome. So, what's that?
Can I pop in a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So on the aspect, we've all been in NFTs for a while, and we continue to see trends kind of shifting the tide, right? You looked 8 months ago, and it was this trend of these English auctions. Let's look at people. Let's look at.
Hold the mic a little.
Oh yeah,
closer.
there's a mic. I apologize. Sorry, I'm loud enough. But you look at the industry and you look at a lot of the trends that occurred, right? You looked at 8 months ago and you saw this trend of this English auction, right? Something like Spivaki's drop, something like Blau's drop, something like Beeple, and now you really are seeing this kind of shift to this more generative profile picture collection. What do you kind of envision as this kind of next tide in trends?
So I think people are becoming a little desensitized of the homogeneous PFP projects, and I think for people that don't understand it, it's a low-hanging fruit, cash grab, opportunities. So you're seeing a lot of people from a traditional financial world and a typical creative space thinking that's path of least resistance to make a lot of money very quickly, right? So then that ties into ethics, integrity, character, values, and other shit. And then once you dig deeper and see like there's a community that's thriving and really interested in helping you explore, then you can potentially take a step back and take more time to really cultivate projects that have sustainability and longevity, which ultimately are your one-of-ones, you know? I think that more than ever, we've seen the depreciation of value in art because it's everywhere and things become more accessible, that, you know, what you can do on Photoshop and Illustrator and the Creative Suite or After Effects or even Adobe Audition. Like I have friends that are multi-platinum Grammy award-winning artists that made stuff with $10 microphones in their basements, you know? Now kids can do that same thing without even the $10 microphone because they already have an iPhone. So I think as an overarching statement, the one-of-one projects will have the longevity and sustainability to withstand the test of time because you're betting on or investing in an individual and their projected growth and journey. And the PFP projects are gonna become less and less interesting because, I mean, you can only do Noah's Ark NFT and then the whole thing's a wrap. You can't have any more animals, right? But yeah.
That's when you just go to another chain, right? You just add an animal on that chain.
I mean, the free game here that I probably should charge for is you don't have to only be on Ethereum. You don't have to only be on Solana. You don't have to, literally I just released a project on like 4 different chains. Why limit they're all islands. Every marketplace is also an island. Why would you limit yourself?
Okay, we're gonna have to move on to questions.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's just
Get
we only have
distracted
a few
very
minutes
easily.
left. So your work is really conceptual and derivative, but not in a bad way. In the way that it's been directly inspired by other work. Describe how your ideas make your work unique and from your source material.
It doesn't. No, you know, the idea of picking Banksy for what we did was extremely deliberate. We obviously burned the Banksy, and we very deliberately picked the piece morons. You know, even me being anonymous is more of an homage to Banksy himself. But on the piece, inscribed in it is, I can't believe you morons actually buy this shit at a Sotheby's auction. And it's really interesting because a lot of what I wanted to do was, you know, make these similar statements that Banksy was making, because I honestly look up to Banksy and I think his work is incredible, and then apply it to kind of this new age. And it's so interesting because if anyone saw the Sotheby's auction, Banksy was the first Sotheby's auction to ever be denominated in Ethereum. So I'm excited.
Wow.
Yeah, for me, you know, so mainly WARHODL, so far just owning the can, crypto soup cans, having mentioned, you know, the deep dive into the ICO space in 17 and 18, just that whole idea of what's a crypto art concept that I could run with. And so ended up doing Bitcoin Soup as my first painting, right? My physical genesis, if you will. And so, you know, when I challenged myself of like, what is a concept? It was to be pop art driven, where there is the ability to maybe stir up the waters a little bit, you know, and obviously using also a multi-decade everyday item that we are used to being soup. So
A lot of your work seems like a commentary on the NFT space and, you know, crypto in general. So I'm just wondering, is some of the subject matter?
You know, to me, in general, NFTs are a vehicle. You know, ultimately a utility on the blockchain, but it's something that I just keep referring to as a direct value exchange. And so being able to create at the speed of culture, as to what you're saying, or like when Clubhouse popped off, I did a Clubhouse can as an addition of 50 that was one of, and sold out relatively quick, and that opened my eyes. And I actually, so for this week in Miami, doing, you know, just an homage to the vaporwave. But yeah, I mean, the ability to create, the trippy part, having grown up painting, is that, we're largely talking about digital only, whereas like having been familiar with painting for so long, or the Bitcoin soup from 2018, that's a 5x7, and I swear that took me like 3 weeks to finish. Whereas we're able to create things now on the fly, and so much of it, which is a trip to me still, is artists are using iPads, Procreate. I haven't done that yet, but like, you're seeing things created on iPads that just blow my mind.
I was just going to ask, do you think that decreases the value or the end result of the art when it's made quickly and easily? Does it cheapen the end result or end product?
Well, there's always that, there's that great quote where, the more accessible something is, the more value it has. Look at something like the Mona Lisa.
Say that one more time, a little bit closer.
Sorry, Mike. There's always there's that saying, I think it was in an A16 podcast, where it's, the more something is available, the more value it inherently has. And the example there is the Mona Lisa. And you can pretty much see it on every postcard. You know what the Mona Lisa looks like, and it has the most value. It's also one of the most circulated images in the world. And so for the aspect of like where we're going and what we're creating, I think it still goes in line with that. If you're doing a 1 of 200 million of the same thing, you're going to dilute the market. But if there's a difference between a supply and demand, and then an actual ease of access.
So I didn't get you as well. As far as how your ideas, make your work unique, and from the source material that you use.
Yeah, I've always been about backdooring and workarounds and where software cracks and bootlegs, because I never really had enough money or I had the time. And I'm not somebody that can sit and watch YouTube tutorials. I've taught myself mixing and mastering and engineering on music with Pro Tools and Adobe Audition, and then I've taught myself a multitude of motion graphic and animation software. And for me, it's just I like to explore it all, because I know there's a few different processes that make your work unique on each individual piece of software or hardware. That's also why I prefer analog to digital. So as a digital artist and graphic designer for many years, I see so many different pieces that are very low effort, and so to see it in this space embraced, it's kind of disappointing but not surprising to me. And so I really look deep and try to find projects that make me think and question how their processes were and what they used to make it, and how, like, am I missing on some technology that just rolled out? Do I need to get a new computer? Like, what did I do wrong that I can't create something like this? So yeah, my process is kind of just looking at the world around me and appreciating the level of effort into the work and the end result, and figuring out how I can do equal or better.
Okay. I want to skip this next question because we only have 7 more minutes. But what are your experiences with criticism or praise? I know you had some criticism story that you wanted to share.
Yes, I have many criticism stories, and they've both been there for most of the he maybe even started the criticism. No, I'm just kidding. People hate it, right? But that's the point of what we did. We wanted someone known, and even as we do the next project, the question is, well, will this piss the most people off? And that's the idea, right? Because then it starts conversation. And I remember we were doing the closing clubhouse for the Banksy being sold. And in the final seconds of the Banksy being sold, I am getting screamed at by this woman just about how I'm the worst person in the world. You look at my YouTube comment section on the video, it's like, this is where the point where civilization fell. And I take that as like a point of homage, honestly. Like, thank you for pointing at me as that moment. And thank you. Yes, I destroyed the world. But without criticism, you don't have debate, and without debate, you don't have progress. And so you gotta, not everything in life is good. No one's ever gonna see eye to eye with you.
Yeah, for me, it was one specific NFT that I created, and wouldn't say backfired, but just kind of caught off guard in terms of the long tail of it. And simply, again, back to the Clubhouse days, there was a growing frustration of mine of women, namely, being cut off on stage just trying to share their perspective and trying to share their points, and being cut off for no reason, or it being a decibel battle. And so I created a soup can called Let Her Speak. And ultimately, over 2 colorways ended up being, let's say, an edition of 40 and an edition of 40, and ended up giving 70 of them away, 60 of them away. But the criticism became that beyond just minting that out of frustration, that I wasn't then doing enough on top of it. So it's taken on a life of its own of like, I still will get heat sometimes and like, you did that for your own interest. And I was like, I created it out of frustration, not with a plan, for that to then become this vehicle that I have to steer. So, but, it's a part of putting yourself out there. I mean, you're susceptible to all sides.
And what about you? Criticism or praise?
Constructive criticism, I have I guess, a personal rule that I wish more people adopted, that, don't critique or say something negative unless you have something to follow it with positive. So as a creative strategist and consultant, I'm constantly poking holes in umbrellas. And if I'm giving you all of these problems and destroying your project and product and making you feel like the entire work is like not worth, and I have no idea how much time, effort, energy, resources went into it, I better back that shit up with some solid solutions and things that are productive and progressive that you can actually apply to make it better and make improvements. So, yeah, there's always room for progress. Progress is a process, and take it on the chin, let it roll off the back if it's negative, because that's just going to slow you down. Negativity is a downward process. It's behind you. If you're looking forward, you can't be looking behind you.
Awesome. So, how do you guys interact with your fans?
I keep my ego so far out of this, so I wouldn't say fans.
Collectors.
Wow. So that's something. I mean, the collector side is just it's overwhelming, and I still haven't fully gotten on top of it, because in 1 year I'm over 500 collectors, and you think about in an artist's lifetime, like to even have 10 collectors that are supportive would be a dream. And so now, I mean, that's its own animal. But, again, mentioning that to me, NFTs are so much a direct value exchange. Early days, it was happening through Clubhouse predominantly. I always said that's like our voice chat. And then Twitter's the backbone. It's our text and visual backbone. And I would say still, I mean, yes, there's Discord, which is, again, overwhelming in itself, but so much of the NFT space is living on Twitter.
And you?
I mean, I think it's really a matter of how do you cultivate that community of collectors or creators that are collaborating with you. At the end of the day, it's like, yeah, they live in isolated spaces like Discord, but for a lot of people that's very daunting, and for a traditional collector, they're not going to jump into it. They don't care, they don't want to learn it, they appreciate you, your story, the work, it means something to them. They're emotional buys,
Awesome.
So,
well, we have less than 2 minutes left, and there was one question that I skipped, but I'm just going to ask you, Bernd. How's your work taken a life of its own?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. Thank you for that T-ball. And so, kind of realizing the frustrations we had during selling, we went off and created Burnt Finance, which is the first fully decentralized auction marketplace, launching right now on Solana, but kind of stay tuned. We actually just yesterday launched our incentivized testnet, so check it out. 20,000 rewards for most transaction and volume, but fully decentralized, no fees, no front running, no centralization whatsoever, and we really are just building for the creator and really building for what we needed at that time.
Awesome. I know a lot of people were inspired by what you did as well, and they kind of saw the act as being, the importance of an NFT is the ephemeral nature of it, and not the physical piece.
And it's
that it
interesting because
represents.
like when we did it, like to that exact same point, I had messages from everyone in my contact at Burnt email saying, I have a Banksy, can you burn this too? Or like, I have this, you burn this. I'm like, that's not the point. I'm like, I was sending a message. It's not about the piece that I used. It's about the point that you're making. And there were a couple people who tried to replicate what we did by burning something. I think there was like a Picasso, but yeah, flat on its face every time.
Awesome. Well, I believe our time is up, but you wanted to add one more thing?
Yeah, I just, as I've alluded to, on like what NFTs are as a utility, or it just, the one thing that I keep falling back on is just how lucky any of us are to understand what this is, and just to be pushing buttons, playing on the field, and figuring it out.
Awesome. Thank you. Our time is up.